Everybody, how's it going? Are we all surviving the heat? Yeah, that's good. That's good. I hope you've got a nice air conditioner running or something. I was thinking we were going to take it exceptionally easy today. Yeah, just kind of move slowly. I feel like, I sometimes will see folks and they're out running and it's noon and it's 96 degrees and I'm just like, how, why, oh my God, so we're gonna do the opposite of that. We're gonna lay down a lot and just allow ourselves to maybe rest a little bit, even though we'll have a moving practice. So we're gonna start off on our backs. And I really only have plans for a couple of blocks today, but of course you're welcome to use whatever you want to. And if you're going to use the music, it might be nice to turn it on right away because it's pretty chill stuff. So just taking a moment to get yourself set up lying down. We'll get started in a minute or so. Right, so finding your relaxed shape to get started in. I feel like sometimes in the course of a yoga class, I feel compelled to get moving quickly. I feel no such urge today. So maybe we'll just take the full first 5 minutes or so to really look for some stillness. And especially if you've been doing a whole lot today, or if you were working or had any kind of busyness in your life today. Sort of take notice of your physical body and if you're feeling physically busy. It's fine to kind of wiggle and shake a little bit, maybe rock your pelvis side to side, rock your head side to side as you settle yourself down into some stillness. Good. Yeah, let your arms be nice and relaxed. Maybe your palms are facing up. And just in this gesture of receptiveness. Good, and then let's take our hands and just place them on our belly. And at first, just feel your breath moving into your belly, moving deep down into your lower lungs so that your belly moves. Good, and take notice of the sides of your waist. You might even take the heels of your hands there. Good, and that maybe a little tummy rub now. Kind of gently bringing your fingers from one side to the other, maybe lightly pressing the palms into your belly. Maybe you're moving your hands around in a big circle, or maybe it's side to side or up and down. It can be really anything here. Good. A few more big breaths. And then let's extend the arms out past the head. Let the forearms rest on the ground. Give your underarms a little bit of space. Notice the head and the neck, and maybe you're rocking the head around just a little bit to relieve some tension in the neck and jaw. Good. A couple more breaths here, all stretched out. Yeah, if your legs aren't yet out long, you might extend them out. Good, and then let's bring the soles of the feet down to the ground. And we'll reach for a block if you've got one. I have one for you if you don't. Toss it your way. There you go. So finding your block, and just go ahead and place your block under your pelvis. We'll take a little bit of a restorative bridge pose here. But really letting the weight of your pelvis kind of sink into that block. Let your upper body really come into contact with the ground. Your shoulders. Good, broadening those collarbones. Good, a minute's worth of breaths here. Good. One more deep breath here in your bridge. Yeah, and then if you have both of your knees bent, just extend your right leg out nice and long. Let your right toes kind of flop out to the side. And you might take your hand to your right hip here and just give your hip bone a little massage. The muscles, your low belly, maybe around the top of the hip and into the lower back. Just a little gentle massage. Good. One more big breath. Okay, let's bring that right foot down to the ground. Extend the left leg out long. Same type of thing, just sort of massaging around your hip bone. Good. Another deep breath. Good. And then just go ahead and place the soles of both of your feet on the floor. We're going to take that block out of the way and come down onto our backs. And how about a recline bound angle? Soles of the feet together, knees out wide. It might feel nice to gently sort of rock the pelvis side to side here. You might take your fists and place them underneath your outer thighs for a little bit of support. And then you might even decide to kind of shake the body lengthwise. So from crown to pelvis, just kind of rocking up and down. Taking your good breaths through your nose if possible. And relaxing your belly. Perfect. Another 3 deep breaths here. Right, and then let's bring those knees back up, and we're gonna grab a hold of the left foot or back of the thigh and take a half happy baby. It might mean that you keep your right knee bent and foot on the ground, or maybe you extend it out long. And then just an option to kind of rock around here, or maybe extend that left leg long on your back. And maybe taking like a hamstring stretch and like a little bit of an opening out to the side. Good. Another few breaths. Awesome. And then we're just going to take a nice little spinal twist here, dropping that left knee across the midline. Your right leg can stay out nice and long. And maybe you want to like creatively stretch those arms out, and like pretend like you're in bed or something. You're just waking up. Or maybe you want to take a more easygoing twist with both knees in towards the chest. But a few breaths here. Good. Eventually roll yourself onto your back again. And as you get there, let's grab a hold of the back of that right leg. We'll just kind of take this half happy baby situation. So maybe it's with the knee bent, maybe the leg's long, maybe your left leg extends here. Again, there's really like no wrong way to go about doing this, but you're just kind of exploring what's happening in your right hip and down. And how does it feel in your foot today? Back of the knee. And maybe you're sweeping that right leg out to the side a little bit. Good, and then bring yourself back through to the center. We'll take our twist, the right knee coming across the midline. Good. Maybe those arms stretch out. Maybe both knees hug in towards the chest, but just bringing out the spine a little bit here. Good. Noticing those muscles on the sides of your belly. Good, and then make your way back through to the center. And just take a moment here. It could be constructive rest, the soles of your feet on the ground, or maybe shavasana. You're just remembering that at any point in time, you can come back, pause, lay on your back, or whatever works. Good. And from here, we're going to practice a little bit of a cooling breath called Shitali pranayama. So if you can roll your tongue like a straw, then do it and just kind of stick the tip of your tongue out your lips and then breathe in over your rolled tongue. And then exhale out of your nose with your mouth closed. If rolling your tongue is not possible for you, just grit your teeth and breathe in over your teeth and then breathe out through your nose. And just take a handful of these. Good, one more. Good, and then let's roll on over to our side and very slowly come up into a seated position. We're gonna kick the heels over to the left here and kind of sit over to the right on that right sitting bone. Let's take the left hand onto that right knee, just take a little twist. Good, right hand coming back behind you. Good, notice the muscles on the right side of the belly, and then we're gonna reach that right arm up and over. Nice little side body stretch. Good, and then we'll come back through to the center and kind of flip around. And take a little boat pose here. So it could be boat any style, toes to be down. Your hands can be holding your thighs. Maybe your hands are free. Good. Be just taking a few breaths like this. Good. And then we'll sit down so that the heels are off to the right side and you're kind of leaning on your left hip. We're going to take that twist here too. So taking your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind you. Good. Let's take a little side body stretch. Left hand reaches up and over. Good. And then we'll swing around again. And as we swing around this time, we'll take the legs out nice and long in front and maybe just fold in on ourselves. You might take the feet a little wider. And if you can reach your feet, give them a little rub. Maybe rubbing your ankles. Good. Another few deep breaths. Good. And then slowly start to lift yourself on up and out of this, and we'll swing the legs back around. Come onto hands and knees. Good. And on hands and knees, just making your moves. Wiggle that spine around a little bit. Good. Consider really dropping that belly down. Good. And then really rounding the back. Good. And just moving at your own pace. Remembering that on a hot day, this is a really nice way to move through a vinyasa. These slow, kind of luxurious movements. Good. And then from here, we're just going to bring the hands forward a tiny little bit. Let's point the toes up, and we're going to kind of rock forward and just bring our elbows in towards the side of the chest and hang out here for a moment. And then we're going to shift back into a child's pose. And we'll just take a few of those, coming up, kind of leaning forward, elbows kind of draw in towards the sides of the ribs. And then shift it on back, take your child's pose. You might slide through like a little bit of like a cobra sort of guy. Good, and bring those elbows close and then shift back, child's pose. A few more of these at your own pace. Good. Let's all meet back in child's pose and rock the head side to side. Good. Inhale. Let's slide the heart through in between the hands. Take a low cobra or come into that lower kind of variation here. Good. We'll shift back into downward dog. Good. And let's take a few breaths here, really dropping the head down. Give it a good wiggle. As you inhale, send that right leg up and back behind you. And then step the right foot through in between your hands. Let's take a low lunge from here, or a lizard even. Might be nice to have your blocks. Nice. Good. Taking notice of that left hip. Good. And then the right hip. All right, let's tuck those left toes underneath. Step the left foot up to the top of the mat, standing forward fold. Good. Take your hands to the base of the skull and just let them weight the head down a little bit. Good. As you inhale, come all the way up, reach nice and high. Good. Exhale, come all the way back down. Hi, babe. Good. Inhale, step that right foot all the way to the back of the mat. Drop your right knee down. And just take your low lunge or your lizard. Good, a few breaths like this. Nice, and then go ahead and tuck those right toes underneath, lift the knees, step it back, downward dog. Good, you can come down onto your knees and find a child's pose and hang out here for a few good breaths. Good, as you inhale, look forward, slide the heart through in between the hands. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Good, as you inhale, send your left leg up and back behind you. Exhale, step that left foot forward, drop the right knee down. Good, maybe the arms come up and overhead this time. Good, another deep breath or two. As you exhale, take those hands down to the top of the mat. Step your right foot forward, standing forward fold. Give yourself a little wiggle here. Good, inhale, come all the way up, reach those arms up high, big stretch. Exhale, fold forward again. Good, and then go ahead and step those, right or left toes all the way to the back of the mat. Drop your left knee down. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Good, another deep breath or two here. All right, set your hands down. Lift up that left knee, step back, downward facing dog. Good, find the knees for cats and cows or child's pose or sitting on the heels. We'll take 5 breaths or so. Good, and then let's move through into either your low cobra or that kind of halfway down into chaturanga pose. Take it on back, downward facing dog. And inhale, right leg reaches up. Exhale, step the right foot through in between your hands. Let's take a high lunge this time. Good, arms can reach up here. Maybe you cactus them. Really feeling your feet steady you. And notice what your belly is doing. Good, a deep breath in. As you exhale, drop your hands down, step that left foot to the top of the mat. Good, forward fold. Good, as you inhale, come all the way up nice and slow. Small back bend at the top. Exhale, dive forward. Good. And then go ahead and step that right foot all the way to the back of the mat. We'll take the high lunge from here. Good. So just looking to find the steadiest version with your legs. Good. Noticing your right hip, heel pressing back. Good. Arms any way you like them. Good. Let's set those hands down. We'll step back into downward facing dog or maybe 3-legged dog to complete the cycle. Good. And then set that left foot down. And you can flow through in a chaturanga if you like that kind of thing. You can shift back into child's pose. Just kind of doing what feels like the right thing for the next 5 breaths or so. Good, meeting back in downward facing dog. Good, inhale, right leg sweeps up and back. Exhale, step that right foot forward. And then we're just gonna kind of hop that left foot in about halfway. Lots of forward folding this evening. Grab a hold of your block for your pyramid pose. And maybe you wanna let the head drop down. But the legs are almost like scissoring here. That right big toe presses down and forward. The left heel reaches back. And just a couple more breaths. All right, and step that left foot back a little bit further on the mat. We're gonna spin around into a standing wide angle. So your feet are maybe a little, further apart. Drop the head way down here. You might take your hands to your lower back and give it a little massage. Good, let's deeply bend that left knee. The right leg is gonna be nice and long here. Getting into the inner leg, hip again. And maybe you're folding forward in this one too, dropping your head down, or you might decide to stay totally lifted here. Good, another couple breaths. Good, and then from here, let's start to kind of walk ourselves back up to the top. First, we're gonna come into this kind of lunge position here and maybe take a little twist, right hand up, left hand down. Good, and then how about a half moon pose? Right hand on your block. We'll lift that left leg up. And maybe the left hand comes up too, to the hip or even reaches high. Good, another breath or two here. Perfect, and then just set that left foot down next to the right and take a moment here in your standing forward fold. Good, notice the back plane of your body. Maybe drop the head way down. And then really slowly roll yourself all the way up to standing. Reach those arms high. Good, forward fold. Good, and then just make your way back into a flow that makes sense. Maybe you want to step back to down dog and find stillness, or take your chaturanga, cat and cow. A few deep breaths. Right, from here, extend your left leg up and back behind you. Step your left foot in between your hands. Hop your right foot in a bit. We're gonna come into the pyramid pose on this side. Good, really pressing that left big toe down and forward, right heel back. Good, and then you can step your right foot back a little bit further, and we're gonna pivot into our wide angle again. So walking your hands around to the right. Good, let your head drop way down. Good, 2 more breaths or so here. Right, and then we're gonna deeply bend that right knee and extend the left leg out nice and long. You can choose to stay up nice and high, or maybe you want to really fold into it. Just choosing your own adventure here. Good. Hanging out here for another couple of breaths and noticing how that left foot feels. Right, and then we're gonna kind of swing out of this and come forward so that both of your hands are framing that left foot. Let's take the lunge. Good, reaching that left hand up, right hand stays down. Okay, making our way into half moon pose. Good, your hand on the block. Right leg lifts up. And maybe that right hand lifts as well. And finding your balance. Maybe just embracing the wobbliness today. Good, one more breath here. And then set your right foot down. Give yourself a little wiggle in the standing forward fold. Good, very slowly come all the way up to standing. Reach those arms up nice and high, big stretch. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good, and let's just stand here for a moment. Either with the palms pressing or arms alongside you in mountain pose. Okay, just kind of reminding ourselves that doing the yoga pose isn't, any special trick. It's just paying attention to what you're doing. Really feeling your feet on the ground. And notice the wobble side to side and front to back. Good, and then from here, we're gonna step the feet out a little bit wider and come down into a squat. From your squat, just kind of wiggle around a little bit, side to side perhaps. Yeah, using your block, that could be a nice thing to do. And then again, from here, you might decide to kind of fold into this to almost sort of round the back, pressing your elbows into your inner knees. And let's start to slowly come on up and out of this. Heel toe the feet back in towards your hip socket distance. Good, we're gonna step that left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Good, let's spin the left heel down and come up into a warrior one. Good, float those arms down alongside you, interlace the fingers, puff up the chest, and then fold yourself into humble warrior. Good, feel your knuckles reaching up. And if your shoulders are protesting, you can always drop your hands down. And now let's all drop our hands down. We're gonna hop that left foot in just about halfway. Take your left hand to the block. Good, right hand to your lower back, and just twist your upper body a touch into your revolved triangle shape. Maybe that right hand reaches up, maybe not. Good, and then we'll set that right hand down. We'll step that left foot back a tiny bit. Wiggle that right foot out to the side, lizard pose. And in this lizard pose, just kind of focusing on easing into the front of your left thigh. So you might walk the knee back a little bit here in space. Good, kind of coming onto the top of your kneecap, and maybe even point your left toes up, just a touch. Just doing your best to breathe. right? And we'll shift ourselves back into a runner stretch, right leg nice and long in front of you. You might stay lifted, hips above the knee as you fold into this, or maybe you want to sit all the way back onto your block if your left knee allows, and kind of fold into it. Good, so just snuggling in here. Take 10 breaths or so. Good. One more deep breath. And then from here, we're going to kind of walk our way out of this. Let's bring the hands down to the top of the mat. Kind of swing that left foot back behind like a little kickstand. Reach out through the right leg so it's kind of like half moon on your knee. And maybe reach back for your right foot with your right hand. Good. Just looking for balance. Maybe it's there. Maybe today's a big wobble. Good. Eventually setting yourself down. Good. And taking any kind of movements that feel good and nourishing. So maybe it's your cat and cow. Maybe you want to swing back into down dog and roll through a vinyasa again. Good. But eventually, yeah, we'll all find our way back into downward facing dog. And then lift that left leg nice and high. Step the left foot forward. And we'll spin that right heel down and just come into warrior one. Good. First, nice and upright and kind of active through the whole body. And then we're going to drop those arms down and interlace the fingers. And then keep the lower body active as you relax through the upper body, dropping the head down, knuckles high. And very slowly release those hands down to frame the left foot. We're going to hop the right foot in just a bit. Okay, keep your right hand down on your block. Okay, hand to your low back or maybe even up towards the sky or ceiling for your revolved triangle. Nice. Awesome. Good. Another breath. And we'll set that left hand down. Wiggle the right toes back just a touch again. Let's drop that right knee down and find your lizard shape. And focusing on the front of your right thigh. Your right quadriceps. You might even decide to kind of point your right toe up or even pulse the lower leg or gently rock side to side here. Notice where your shoulders are in relation to your ears and see if you can make your neck just a touch longer. Beautiful. And then from here, we'll just shift it on back into the runner stretch again. So wiggling that left foot back towards center, and either staying high or sinking down nice and low, blocks supporting that left sitting bone. Good, just a few more breaths. Right, and then very slowly, just start to walk your hands back out towards the top, kind of crawl your way there. We're gonna send that right leg like a kickstand and the left leg high, coming into your like half moon. And then maybe you're reaching back for your left foot with your left hand. Maybe. Awesome. Eventually, when you feel like you're done, come on out of this and we'll shift back into a puppy pose. So your knees under your hips. Just walk your arms out to wherever they want to go. And then allow your shoulders and your head to settle down. Forearms might rest right on the ground. Elbows can be bent a little if that feels better. Good. One more deep breath here. And then let's shift back into a child's pose again. So, or sitting up on your heels, one or the other. Just take a moment, especially if you're sitting on your heels, to roll your head a little bit, chin to chest, ear to shoulder, and maybe even like a big slow circle all the way around. Good. If you're taking those big slow circles, go the other direction too. Good, and then let's take those arms out nice and wide. We're just gonna wrap the right arm underneath and either hug around and sort of round your upper back, or maybe you wanna eagle wrap your arms here. And if you decided to eagle wrap, you might like snake the arms around a little bit. Notice the shoulders, notice what's happening with the shoulder blades. Maybe like a gentle cat-cow kind of action here. Unwind those arms, hands to the lower back, lift the chest, look out. Good, and then same thing other side. So this time the left arm will wrap around underneath or eagle wrap. You take a moment to just wiggle around, or maybe stillness is more of what you want today. Good, breathe and notice the way your lungs are moving your shoulder blades. Good, and then just go ahead and release the arms and just give them a wiggle. Something, a little shake around. Right. Good. So from here, we'll shift over and then just extend that left leg out nice and long on the mat. Place the sole of the right foot to the inside line of the left leg. And let's think about kind of arranging the flesh so that it's moving back in space so your pelvis can more easily tilt forward. And then just, yeah, at your own pace, letting your chest kind of fall in towards the thigh, letting your head drop down. This could be a little bit more engaged where you're flexing through the left foot, or you might decide to really relax that left leg and take a yin style of this pose. And we'll remain here for 10 or 12 breaths. Just one thing at a time, just one breath at a time. Good. Last 3 breaths here. Awesome. Very slowly lift yourself up and out of this. We're just gonna grab a hold of your left lower leg with your hands. Extend that right leg out in front of you. And then take your left hand down and just kind of roll over to the side and touch. So you're just massaging these points in your butt. And you know, if you clench your butt habitually, you might not even know it until you do this. And on the other side, though, your butt's supposed to be really strong. So it's never a bad idea just to give it a little extra softness here, a little extra support. Awesome. Good. And then we're just going to take that left foot to the inside line of the right leg, arrange the flesh of your right glutes kind of back in space. Yeah. And then lean yourself forward. Good. Preparing to maybe find a little bit of stillness here. Stretching out the entire back plane of the body. Good. Just taking another handful of breaths. Very slowly start to lift yourself up, and as you find your way up, we're just going to extend the left leg long and grab a hold of your right foot with your left hand, and then you can take your right hand behind you and just like lean back. Always sort of interesting. You try to breathe through your nose as you do this. Nice slow breaths. Wonderful. And then from here, we'll just kind of move ourselves back to the center, and we'll take the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And it can be a relaxed pose with your feet far away from you, or maybe you want to bring your heels really close to the rest of you, or somewhere in between. But just finding that forward fold here as well. And if you're in a traditional Baddha Konasana with the heels close, you might take your elbows and rest them on your inner thighs, or even kind of move the thigh down and out as you fold in. And notice the length in your spine and the depth of your breathing. Good. Another couple breaths. Good. And then very slowly start to lift yourself on up and out of this. And yes, it's time for our backs. So finding your block as you come down. Thinking of a little bit of legs up the invisible wall situation for a couple of minutes before a nice long shavasana. Good. As you find your legs up the wall or up towards the sky or wherever you are, just take notice of the way your upper back feels on the ground. Notice the back of your head and neck. Good. Notice your ankles balancing above your knees, above your hips, in some kind of configuration that works for you. Relax your toes. Good. Either settling into some amount of stillness, or if you want to roll your ankles around, that's always a really wonderful thing for not just your physical body, like, the nuts and bolts, but also for your energetic body, your electricity. So many of our different meridians pass through all of the joints, really, but the ankles are rich in points. So moving them around in a way that feels right if you want to. Just about another minute here. It could be you with your feet up like this, or if you want to bring your knees in towards your chest with your pelvis on the block, that's a thought too. Or even into like a snail pose, where you kind of drop your toes out past your head and keep your knees a little soft. It's a really big opening for the back body. Wonderful. Okay, so eventually, I just want you to make your way out of this particular pose. You can take the block out of the way, or at least out from under your pelvis. And we'll find our backs. And I'm thinking of a nice long shavasana. But of course, if there are any other poses that are kind of calling you, you're welcome to take those poses. In shavasana, it might be nice to take the block under the back of the head for a few breaths and just rock your head side to side. Really allowing the muscles of the face to find a little bit of ease. Letting the eyes be heavy and soft. Letting your tongue be relaxed. And eventually settling yourself in and letting yourself get nice and heavy.
So when you feel good and ready, you can begin to maybe take slightly deeper breaths and those small movements that you like to take. And eventually making your way up into a seated position, but no rush. Good. And finally get there. Hello. Just take our hands, maybe two hands on our belly for a moment, and we'll just rub side to side. Good. Heels of the hands kind of wrap around, maybe even press gently into the back of the body. Good. And then just take your hands and place them on your heart, and same type of thing, just like a gentle little something, side to side. And eventually your hands will sit there in like a nice little heavy pile on the center of your chest. Good. As you inhale, lift your heart up into your hands, broaden those collarbones. Exhale and drop your head down towards your hands, honoring your practice and honoring each other too. Oh, I hope everybody sleeps well and remains cool, as cool as can be.